The new Passat Alltrack, here today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. With Thomas and this review of the off-road version of the new Passat B8. And it's not only the off-road version, it's also directly the estate. And so we're going to talk about the exterior, interior and the driving experience, and of course especially about the changes or differences from the Alltrack to the normal Passat. So what do you get as an extra equipment in here? This color here, by the way, is Harvard Blue Metallic. I think it's quite beautiful. However, I would rather prefer a more mature blue, I would say, a little bit more powerful. But again, I think it adds a little bit more color to this car, which is rather conservative. However, the new generation, you see it already in the front there, has some more new edges brought to the Passat here and is more a design car more than ever before. Starting at the front here, you not only have the Alltrack logo, you already got the bumper from the higher trim levels, which is a little bit more prominent. And then you got this off-road style with a black plastic fender. However, this especially here, you got this chrome style. It's just kind of painted plastic below that. So that's a differentiation, and also tells us that they don't really make the plastic fenders because they are just cheaper and really protective from off-road. It's also just a design scheme for someone who loves this off-road style. The length of the Passat Alltrack, 4.77 meters. It's the same as the normal estate, but we have more ground clearance. 2.75 centimeters more ground clearance, so almost 3 centimeters more ground clearance. Does it really help you off-road that much? I doubt, but it's better than nothing. Maybe fitting for your ski holidays, or if you have maybe a house or maybe a holiday flat where you have a bumpy road leading towards it. So not the real off-road king, but surely it helps when you need a little bit higher then. And we see the same scheme here, plastic fenders, but then below that you got the painted one that imitates a chrome style. It's not real chrome, of course, but that adds a little bit more elegance to this off-road scheme. And this, and we know that before also from maybe Audi all-road models, around the wheel arches it's also covered here in the plastic style, and that makes this off-road look. By the way, if you feel the surface here, it's a quite interesting feeling. It's not the standard just plain black plastic material. It actually feels quite refined. That's a very interesting detail. Also, the alloys are quite special. 17-inch is usual from serial production for the Alltrack. This one here, an 18-inch, one bigger, optional. Again, you have to pay more. Then it looks a little bit like Transformer style, I think. Very technical style of these ones. How you like these ones? Put me the comments below. My personal favorite in design detail are those chrome caps here. Again, I doubt it's real chrome, but it doesn't really matter. You know, modern surfaces usually work quite fine, and well, maybe I would be afraid to get some scratches here, but I love those contrasts here, especially in comparison to the blue color here, and I would always take them, definitely. And you got the integrated LED turning lights right here. At the rear we have the same form follows function tail end, because it's not really that design king from the rear from my opinion, but you know, you see already we have a lot of space on the inside. And about the details, it says Passat Alltrack, so you know that is the special model here. Everything else is kind of the same. Besides, below there, again, this scheme, black plastic and this chrome style in front of it. By the way, this below here, that's all fake. So it's not a real exhaust, real actual exhaust is below there then, and we got two pipes, one on the left side and the same one on the right side. That's for the 2-liter turbo petrol engine, and it also says here right now, right up here, 2-liter TSI, and with 4Motion, because the Passat Alltrack always comes in combination to the all-wheel drive. And so you can also explain the price, because you rather got the bigger engines, you got the all-wheel drive, you got the higher trim level, then the Passat would always be more expensive, way more expensive than the base price. And so a lot of Passat are actually bought at higher trim levels. So then the price difference is not that big anymore. Let's look beneath the hood here. As I said, this is the turbo petrol engine. I would generally recommend that one, always 2-liter, in this case with 220 horsepower. Really enough power. I'll also tell you more about this engine when we drive it later on. It will be very exciting. The consumption figures so far, I had a long motorway trip to the lake here. We are in southern Germany, in Bavaria. And actually it was just about 7 liters on the 100 kilometers. And well, that can actually be higher if you just drive it in the city. So I would expect maybe 8 up to 9 liters on 100 kilometers if you just drive in the cities then. But I think so 7 to 8.5 liters, that should be realistically for you. Less consumption than with the diesels, because here's also the 2-liter diesel available with 150, 190 or 240 horsepower. And the 150 one is the only one that is available with a manual transmission. All the other engines with the Passat Alltrack just combined with the DSG, the dual clutch transmission. And there's another reason why the price is higher, because there it's already included in this case. So the car key, our entry to the world inside. I think it's really nice design here, also quite clean. Autoschlüssel in German, by the way. So for Mario, he requested a German lesson in one, so one German lesson per video. Yeah, solid door, of course, as we know, and also closing sound, everything is real. And the whole interior, you see it right now, is very refined. Here we got the special Ergo Comfort seats. These ones are serial production in the Passat Alltrack. Very beautiful design. On the outside we got forked leather. Very good that they didn't use any special animal skin here. You can have animal skin optionally, but you know there's no reason to buy it. Here we got this contrast stitch design. It's no just the design, you know, not real contrast stitches. But the Alltrack logo, that one you can really feel. And you see this special seats with Alcantara on the inside, so multiple surfaces are used, and overall a great design of the seat. And I can already tell you right now, it is also very comfortable. If we move on to the middle console and the steering wheel, you see we have a lot of these shiny black elements. Well, they could gather some scratches, yes, but of course at the first sight, and when they're new, they look very beautiful. Here we got actually multiple surfaces available for here, also in wood, for example. I think wood is always very elegant. However, here it's more the modern style with this checkered structure of aluminum. Also quite nice. And you also see it at the inside of the doors here. And you see it here, also quite, and by the way, even this one here, it's not plain black hard plastic. You see it's a little bit soft, and it adds, first of all, visual. You see it a little bit, and then when you touch it, it feels a little bit softer. And by the way, we got the DIN audio system here, also optional again, but the sound, I can tell you, is very great. If you love music, I would take this sound system. And an Alltrack detail. Just when stepping in here, we got these covers right here with the Alltrack logo. Also the pedals are covered with aluminum, that's very nice. And you see what is very good, a lot of space even for big shoes, for big feet here on the left side. Some cars do lack this kind of space, but here it is actually very well done. However, rather questionable is how you adjust the seat, because here to the front and the back it's manual. You pull it here, then you can put the upper part a little bit higher or lower. It's good that I can do that, but manual again. Then I can also lengthen or shorten the seating area in the front, manually again, that's quite of normal. Then electronically the lumbar support, the lower part, and how steep is the back part, I can do that electronically. And then again, the height, I can pump it up or pump it down. And I ask myself, why this separation? Because usually we have the manual systems or the electronic, and here it's mixed, and I have to think about, oh, wait a minute, what do I want to adjust? And oh, is this one electronically or the manual one now? So a little bit confusing, I think. However, always electronically is it right up here. This is here the massage function of the Ergo Comfort seat. And actually it's a little bit more evolved than the standard massage functions, and it doesn't go up all the way to the shoulders like in a very high luxury car, but it actually feels quite good. So excuse me for 5 minutes now, I'm gonna enjoy my massage first. I love talking about interior details, you probably know that, and one of the main features here in the new Passat B8 is this one here. Those horizontal lines that go all the way about the interior have an analog clock in cover that is really beautiful done, because it looks so clean and high class at the same time. It makes this new premium atmosphere. Also soft plastics used here everywhere. Here this is the big GPS screen, optionally of course, over 2,000 euros extra with the biggest GPS level here. It is one of the best on the market with a proximity sensor, and you can control it like an iPad or an iPhone, and you see it's also quite fast. Also I tested it, by the way, we're in Lake now, you see it's the Starnberger See. One of our German fans will surely know that. I can really recommend the system, and for example you can also easily switch here with the touchpad to your Bluetooth audio and all the stuff, and really great system, one of the best I know, but again very expensive. The climate unit, by the way, here is the standard Volkswagen one. I think meanwhile they could improve it a little bit. You see that's a little bit shaky here. You know, the Audi systems are a little bit better, but Audi again even more expensive. But maybe they could top it up here, maybe with a facelift. I like the Alltrack logo here. It's the same like when you have a Golf GTI or something like that, or the Passat GTE we have also recently covered, and there's just a small space up here. DSG, as I said, always combined with this engine, and we have also certain driving modes. So we can, for example, also pick an eco driving mode where we have this sailing function, where we don't have any rolling resistance. Then to put some beverages in here in the middle part, they adjust to the size of the beverage. That's also quite fine. Automatic handbrake here, as we used from the new Passat. You know, I would prefer the manual one. Then the middle box with an USB and an aux port. Not too much space inside here, but again everything of high quality. There's nothing that's shaking here. If I want to touch everything or want to shake, everything is really totally fixed, and that is really the high build quality of the Volkswagen there. We know it before that. So on the steering wheel, also fits good with the surface, almost kind of a flattened end here, also a good size. So in general, we're very positive here from the interior. I think one of the biggest strengths here of the Passat. Now let's check out the virtual cockpit. Oh, no, it's not the virtual cockpit, that's Audi. Here it's the active input display, but it's the same system. So you basically control the whole stuff here right at the steering wheel with switching the columns to right and left, and then you know the upper part changes, and then up and down. And there it is, 500 euros extra for this full digital screen. That's the difference to the Audi TT. There you always have it. Here it's just optionally. If you prefer the analog instruments, you can still have them with the Passat, also here with the Alltrack. But it's not only 500 euros extra, because it is only possible if you also pick the biggest GPS system, which is over 2,000 euros, and then it's almost 3,000 euros for the whole system extra. Oh guys, that's really rough. You see here the consumption very low at the moment because we have driven mostly of the motorway the recent time here. It will get higher in the city, I can promise you. You know, the Volkswagen engines, they could consume a little bit less. You can change the views here a little bit. For example, if we go to the GPS screen again, you see it up here, there's the GPS screen. Then, for example, you can change it here right now. It's either bigger or smaller, that you see more or less of the map. And it's also possible, for example, I can put it right here. I can activate it or deactivate it. You see it again. Then maybe we can also show you something else. For example, if I want to have the music in here, then I see the music information here and not the GPS anymore. And then I have the options here for the music and also change the Bluetooth audio. So you actually can control everything via the middle screen, which is also quite interesting. And you can also switch to a classic view here. Then everything looks rather normal and don't have the additional information on the left or on the right. And it almost looks analog, but it isn't. Again, I want to hear your comments about which one would you go for, classic one or the new ones. I'm not so sure because I'm rather used to have all the information down there. Well, if you think about it here now from the driver's perspective, okay, you just look on the road, look down here to the GPS. Not necessarily here. I can show you when I put the map down here, and also when I put the map right here. So that's kind of the difference. You look here or here. Then it's kind of the shorter way. So that might be an advantage, but again, also way more expensive. What do you think? Rear compartment, and again, very nice sound, everything very solid. Again, I like that. And well, we do have a lot of space here in the Passat. I like it that the design scheme is carried on over here from these seats in the front. And you have that with all Passat Alltrack. That's, well, one special stuff you really just get with this one. Well, the usual Passat seats are also beautiful, so that doesn't make the too big difference. And we have still a lot of knee space, even if tall drivers are right in here right now. We don't have the panoramic roof. It would be possible, and because, you know, without the panoramic roof, I have this kind of headspace, way enough. I'm 1.86 meters for everyone that doesn't know yet. With the panoramic roof, I would have maybe that kind of space. And that's also the advantage of the estate version, because the sedan would go down right here, and for a sedan, the Passat is also very good as for the headroom. However, the estate, even better when you have tall people in the back. Also quite comfortable seating position here. That's also quite good. It's not really a difference here in the Passat Alltrack. Do you really feel that you're sitting higher, this more of the ground clearance? No, I admit, no. Also while driving, do you feel it? Rather not. It's maybe really a thing that the car is a little bit more protected when you off-road, but you don't really feel such a big difference. Talking about the Škoda Superb, however, you have even more knee space here. That is one example. Well, the car is also a little bit longer than the Passat, so you have even more space in the, especially in the rear compartment here as for the Škoda Superb. Because I know you guys who think about buying a Passat always should also consider the Škoda Superb. Both actually very good cars as for the price-performance ratio. The Superb is, I think, depending on the trim, 1,000 to 2,000 euros even cheaper than, so maybe an even better deal. But right now we're with Passat, also very convinced of the rear department. Here in this case, because we also have the top up air conditioning, we also have climate controls right here in the middle. That's the way it looks like. The temperature, and also heated seats for the rear. That is not from serial production, you have to pick that one optionally, but very nice. And inspired by the Škoda Superb, I think, right below here, not only the 12-volt power supply, but also a real German plug here. And I love that because I can directly attach my, well, can I actually attach my MacBook in there? Because in the Škoda Superb it was possible, but just, well, with limited space. Let's try it out right now. I'll be back. Power charger test. Dun, 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 dun. Big one from the MacBook. And yeah, I thought that. That is really the problem. I think maybe that way. In the Superb, it was not that easy, but it did work actually because we had more space here. Also check out the Superb video. Here it does not work. That's really annoying. So you need to have something like this here from an LG mobile phone. There it works. I think they will also have it, or probably have it updated depending on the market then, how it looks like. But they should have checked out the Superb because there the MacBook charger did work, and you know, a lot of people have this one, and here it doesn't. Not well thought. And the introduction of the rear will be around the rear view camera, because I want to show you that one. And actually a very good resolution, and we have the fake drone view here from above. Again, not serial equipment, you have to pick that optionally. And this one here, you see, also changes, shows you which direction you are really going. Very beautiful here with the lake. Back to the rear view, we can also put this one as the biggest screen then. And it's also quite interesting because, you know, we've always seen with other Volkswagen where the rear view camera is actually placed. So the rear view camera is hidden there, and also the mechanism to open the trunk. You can also do it with the key. Electric opening here, electric tailgate is optional. And it's actually going quite fast. Very interesting question here now again about the safety. You know, I always criticize with a lot of automotive that this one here is not sensitive enough. Hey, this one is obviously. Let's try it with one arm. You see, one arm was not enough. So here again, I think it should be even more sensitive, also when going up. Yeah, imagine there's a child sitting down there, and well, then it might get problems. So please remind that. A cover here for the trunk, you know, is better usable than with the Estate. You can just press this one and two, and then you have all the whole loading space here. Very well usable. By the way, this one here is so beautiful, but maybe not the most practical, but this one will definitely collect some scratches here. Very prone to scratches, but it feels very good. Got some more space below here. No rear replacement tire, but you can put some more stuff there. That's actually possible. And then we got a lot of clever solutions. For example, here we can have some space also on the right part for some smaller stuff. Then if we want to put stuff more far away in the trunk, but you're not that tall or not have long arms, you can use this sliding element. For example, load your stuff up here and then slide it to the end of the trunk. Actually also a quite nice solution. Best thing probably that you can just flip the seats here from the rear, 1 and 2. You can also do it from the middle part, and then you have an even loading space, go quite far in there. And also some other nice details, like a 12-volt power supply right here, or also to attach a bag. This one is on both sides available here. And there's also a net available here. You can attach maybe when you put something on the cover, or maybe for a dog, that's also possible. If someone buys this car, maybe also a purpose of some leisure equipment and maybe a caravan behind that, so they also paid attention to that one. And that probably will also be quite often used then together with this car. So very flexible here, especially in the loading compartment, and everything also very well processed again. Driving experience. I picked the petrol engine for today's test on purpose because most of our countries this engine will be available. You know, especially for our friends in the US, diesel is not really such a topic. And well, in general, this 220 horsepower petrol engine is, well, actually quite recommendable. It's very silent when you're on the low RPMs. And here right now it's a little bit of bumpy terrain. We can also tell you something about how it is to ride the Alltrack here. Not really off-road, but other than on this just road surface, and I think it's quite okay. And as I said, you don't really feel such a difference that you're sitting higher now as I go down the pavement. But I feel a little bit more secure than it would be maybe in the usual Passat, because I know I have this little bit more of a ground clearance. No, Skoda Octavia VRS is facing towards me here, lower ground clearance actually. But again, if you really want to go off-road, then you should probably go for a Touareg or something like that, and not maybe necessarily for this Passat here. So now let's test the acceleration, because when I press the throttle down, just very short but very fast, like this, kind of nothing happens. And this is, you know, when you don't have the natural aspirator engine, this is here the turbo. That means you have to wait for the turbo. So when I push the throttle, one, and then we got the acceleration. Also nice sound. Listen to that. Hey, really nice sound, I must say. It's not that pure sports engine, but we already know that 2-liter petrol engine. For example, also from the Skoda Octavia VRS, and that was also very convincing. But you have to wait for the turbo to set in. So on the motorway, actually no problem to overtake someone. But you have to think about, you have this second before the turbo really sets sails, and then you have the great acceleration there. It will be the same with the diesel anyway, because it's also this turbo diesel in here. And of course, maybe if you think about the Ferrari turbo, there we didn't feel this sleeping of the turbo for 1 second, but you know, totally different car. Here it's more about the silent, relaxing ride, because the Volkswagen Passat B8 is one of the best insulated cars I've driven so far. Even with 130, 140 kilometers an hour on the motorway, you hear like nothing. So silent here, therefore also especially relaxing. And I think it also fits to the Alltrack. It's not that really super sporty car, although the steering is actually quite direct, but you feel directly this kind of long wheelbase that offers you so much space here on the inside, but that long wheelbase also makes the car less agile. However, due to the rather direct steering, it still feels kind of sporty, and I really like that. So they've done a very good job with the steering in this case. The suspension, I think one of the benchmarks in this class, definitely. No matter what terrain are you on, it always feels comfortable without being too soft. So everything as for the driving is really convincing. You hardly can't say anything, any negative aspect on it. Maybe that the most of the stuff we see here is really optional equipment. Then again, also from all the assistance systems, we got all kinds of assistance systems available. I would always go for the automatic cruise control. This one is really very good. I would take it, but again, also optional. How else or how different could that actually be? Also from the overview, front, sides, the windows are still quite steep. The Passat is not the most design-driven car. They said we want to keep the standard form, and it also helps you from the inside. You always keep this very good overview then, and that's another important aspect here from the Passat. So my conclusion now on the Passat Alltrack is definitely one of the most refined cars on the market right now. We were very convinced of the new Passat B8 in general. This one here with the estate concept, you have a lot of space in the trunk then, that is really good. And all of the off-road features, I think they have a very elegant style and still have something different than the other normal off-road looking cars, because they introduced these chrome elements. Well, it's not really practical for going really off-road, but you have this very great style, and also with the contrasting mirror caps there. Of course, you have to think about your budget has to be very high for the Passat if you pick all of that. As I said earlier, this very car here, about 45 to 50,000 euros with all the equipment in there. GPS is so expensive, and then if you pick the petrol engine and so on and so on. However, most Passats are not really bought in the basic trim level, so a lot of people spend more money on that anyway, and then maybe the difference is not that high anymore. But of course you have to think about The better deal is of course if you pick a middle trim level and also kind of a mid-size engine, then you really get the maximum performance out of a Passat, the maximum price performance ratio then. Especially from the interior, I really like the Passat also in comparison to the Skoda Superb. I think the Superb is more beautiful on the outside, because we've discussed it before. However, the interior is really set standards in this class, and the Passat is now definitely also on the premium level. So if you nowadays think about, okay, let's compare it to a Mercedes or an Audi or BMW or Jaguar, I would say absolutely no problem. So I would like to hear your comments on this version here. Do you think it makes sense to put it a little bit higher, give it that off-road look? Does it make sense for you? And how would you rate it actually in comparison to other normal Passat versions from the sedan and the estate? Looking forward to your opinion, and I hope we see it at the next Autogefühl episode with Thomas here.